He's trespassing. Arrest him, not now! Karen's voice sliced through the heavy afternoon heat like a whip. Dust swirled in the air, sunlight flashing off the chrome of two police cruisers parked crooked on my gravel driveway. My hens scattered toward the porch, wings flapping, while my cows shifted restlessly in the pasture, sensing the chaos. Two uniformed officers froze halfway between us. Glancing from her to me, uncertain, I didn't move. Boots planted firm in the dirt, hat shading my eyes from the blazing sun. The badge pinned to my chest caught the light, glinting sharp as a mirror. Karen stomped forward, her clipboard shaking in her hand, face flushed with the kind of anger only power-hungry people can feel when they think they're losing control. I don't care who you say you are, she barked. This land is under HOA authority. You have no right to be here. I just looked at her, slow, steady, until the noise around us seemed to fade. Ma'am, I said quietly, you just made the biggest mistake of your life. Her eyebrows shot up, ready for another argument, but I didn't give her the chance. Because what you don't know, I added, tapping my badge, is that I'm not just the county sheriff. A flicker of confusion crossed her face as the officers straightened up, realizing what they were standing in the middle of. I'm the man who oversees every HOA in this state, I said evenly. And you just declared war on the law itself. The air went still, hot, dry, charged like a gun about to fire. That's how it started. What looked like a petty neighborhood dispute was about to turn into a full-blown reckoning, one that would strip away lies, power, and pride, all in the name of justice. But let me start at the beginning. Before we dive in, let me know where you're listening from today. Arrest him. He's trespassing. Karen's voice cracked through the afternoon heat like thunder. The sun hung low over the ridge, painting everything gold, except the rage twisting her face red. Two patrol officers stood frozen beside their cruisers, dust swirling around their boots, eyes darting between her and me. I didn't flinch. Just stood there, calm as an old oak, the weight of a lifetime in law enforcement keeping me steady. Behind me, my ranch spread wide, fences I'd built by hand, barns my father left me, and a lifetime of sweat sunk deep into that dirt. Karen jabbed a finger at me, clipboard shaking. He's violating community rules. He doesn't belong here. I took one slow step forward, letting the sunlight catch the edge of my badge. Ma'am, I said evenly, you might want to stop talking before you dig a hole you can't climb out of. She smirked, smug, certain of her authority. I'm the HOA president. You follow my rules here. I held her stare for a long moment, long enough for the officers to shift uncomfortably. Then I said it, quiet but sharp enough to cut the air. You're standing on county property, and I'm the sheriff who oversees this land. Silence. Her eyes flickered, confused. One officer straightened. The other dropped his hand from his holster, suddenly realizing how far out of line they were. I watched Karen's confidence drain away, the truth hitting her like cold water. She said I was trespassing, I murmured, on the land I swore to protect. It all started a week earlier, when I drove back from a long year out west, my first real break in 2 decades. I'd left my ranch under county watch, quiet and simple like it had always been, but when I pulled into the driveway, something was off. The gate had a new lock, not mine. A shiny HOA logo was bolted to the post, like a brand on stolen cattle, and there, nailed to my fence, was a wooden sign that read, Sunnyside Estates, a deed-protected community. I stared at it for a long time, jaw tightening. My ranch wasn't part of any community. It was private land, always had been. When I cut the new lock off and rolled through the gate, it felt like crossing into someone else's idea of order. Fresh paint on the fences, little HOA banners by the road, and a pamphlet tucked under my door that said, Welcome home. Please review your community compliance guidelines. Yeah. That's when I knew something bad had rooted itself here. She showed up the next morning. A white SUV rolled up the gravel drive, spotless with HOA President printed on the door in shiny lettering. Out stepped Karen Mitchell, mid-50s, tailored blazer, sunglasses big enough to hide the eyes of a predator. Sheriff Miller, she said, her voice sweet as syrup but just as fake. I didn't expect you back so soon. Didn't expect anyone to be here at all, I said, leaning against my truck. Mind telling me why my land's wearing your logo? She smiled. that corporate kind of smile that never touches the eyes. We recently expanded the boundaries of Sunnyside Estates. Your ranch now falls under our jurisdiction. Without my consent? It was voted on, she said. By the board. Board of who? Your neighbors. I crossed my arms. I don't have any neighbors for 10 miles. Her smile twitched. That was the first crack in her confidence. She left with a warning that day. Something about fines for noncompliance. I told her to send whatever papers she wanted, but to make sure she spelled my name right, because they were going to end up in court. Within a week, I had 12 violation letters taped to my door. Unauthorized fencing, improper livestock management, failure to maintain landscaping, even one that said, excessive dust from vehicle use. That one made me laugh. I live on a dirt road, but the laughter didn't last long. Every morning there was a new letter. Every evening I'd catch her so-called community patrol, driving slow by my house, taking pictures. One even walked up my porch to measure the American flag I'd hung, claiming it was too large for neighborhood standards. I told them to step off my porch or I'd show them what real law enforcement looks like, but I didn't yell. Didn't threaten. I was biding my time, collecting evidence. Then came the day she went too far. I turned on the faucet to fill the horse trough, and nothing came out. I checked the pump, the lines, all fine. Then I found it. The main valve near the road had been shut off and padlocked. Her logo sticker was right on it. I drove down to the HOA office, a fancy trailer dressed up like a real building, and found her standing there with 2 men she called security. Your water will stay off, she said, until you pay your fines and sign your compliance form. One of the guards leaned on a bat handle like he wanted a reason. I stepped closer. My voice dropped. You cut off water to a working ranch. That's a felony in this county. Karen didn't blink. We have the authority. I smiled, the kind of smile that comes before a storm. Not for long, you don't. I walked away. Didn't raise my voice, didn't draw my weapon. But that night, I opened a case file, one I'd never thought I'd need to write. HOA corruption. Sunnyside Estates. Over the next week, I dug deep, public records, county deeds, financial filings. What I found was worse than I imagined. Karen had been funneling HOA funds into her own shell companies. She'd falsified annexation maps, pulling properties into her HOA's control without consent. Dozens of homeowners were paying inflated maintenance fees for services that never existed. And the kicker? The signatures on those community vote forms were forged. My name was on one of them. That's when it stopped being personal and started being criminal. Called in a few favors from the state attorney's office and a couple of friends in the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. We built a paper trail. Every fake invoice, every illegal fine, every homeowner she'd bullied into silence. Then, one quiet Monday morning, I walked into her office with a brown envelope under my arm. She didn't even look up at first. Too busy berating some poor homeowner on the phone. Karen, I said, setting the envelope down. You might want to hang up, she rolled her eyes. What now, Sheriff? Another one of your threats? I opened the envelope and slid a document across the desk. The heading read, Notice of Federal Audit and Investigation, HOA Financial Mismanagement. Her voice caught. What is this? That, I said, is the sound of your empire collapsing. The next 2 weeks were chaos. Federal agents rolled into Sunnyside like a summer storm. They seized files, froze accounts, and questioned board members. Neighbors who'd been scared for years started talking. Stories poured out about threats, fines, even property seizures. Turns out Karen had been embezzling HOA funds for nearly 7 years. Vacations, cars, luxury furniture, all bought with money she stole from the people she claimed to protect. The news spread fast. By the end of the month, she wasn't barking orders. She was sitting in handcuffs outside her office, still insisting she was just enforcing community standards. When I walked by, she glared up at me. You set me up. I shook my head. You set yourself up, Karen. I just turned on the lights. At her sentencing, the judge called her a danger to every honest homeowner in the county. She cried then, the kind of crying that isn't about regret, just fear of losing control. When it was over, I stepped outside into the sunlight. The air smelled cleaner, freer. The HOA signs had already started coming down. Neighbors were waving again, kids were back on bikes, and for the first time in a long while, Sunnyside felt like home again. One of the officers from that first day walked up beside me. "Never thought I'd see an HOA president in cuffs," he said. I smiled. "She thought she could write her own laws." He nodded. "Guess she forgot who enforces them." I looked back at the courthouse steps where Karen had once stood like she owned the world. "She said I was trespassing," I murmured. "But all I ever did was protect what's rightfully ours." And with that, I turned toward the horizon where the sun was sinking over my land, my free, ungoverned land, and said the only words that mattered. She thought she was enforcing order, but what she really built was her own downfall. Would you like me to continue with Chapter 2? The law strikes back, where the federal case unfolds and the emotional aftermath deepens. Same cinematic voiceover style?